Welcome to the 134th broadcast of the T-Row Show. It's your host, Keith. I got John with me.
Good morning, folks.
All right, what we're going to be talking about today is quite a bit. We've got some other people on the call. We've got John and Tom, and we're going to be talking about some of the things we hear and see and listen to and been researching and all that fun stuff. So you might get a tidbit here and there that may help you in your situation. However, what we are going to do is we're going to start right here. Why did we say this? And everybody would look at that and say, whoa, that's really awful. Fire everyone in every court in the country and start over. Why would we say that? Another angle to this. It's a much larger picture than what we talked about before. Okay, we showed you little tidbits of in the program last week. Or I believe it was the week before. I can't remember which one. These shows are starting to run together now. But I want to show you some things, okay? There was this little thing we thought for sure. This is really interesting to me. We didn't know that that they would show their ass like this, okay? And this was El Paso Bishop condemns U.S. Mexico immigration policy as he escorts family across bridge, okay? If they've made a deal between Mexico and the U.S., or actually it was the United States of America that made that deal. I'll show you this because we got credit for this, which we do appreciate, coming from Trump. I'm pleased to inform you that the United States of America has reached a signed agreement with Mexico. So this was a legal thing to do. Notice that the Vatican doesn't recognize that, or doesn't want to recognize it, and I'll show you why here in a little while. But why does this guy, this nitwit right here, care about this situation? What business is it of the Vatican? If there's a deal between the United States of America and Mexico, okay, on stopping all this illegal stuff going on, which, by the way, they have people from Africa. They have wads of cash and wads of hundreds in their pocket. What does that have to do with Venezuela? Or what does that have to do with Ecuador? Or what does that have to do with anything? South and Central America. Why are the people coming over from Africa, and why would these guys here, these child molesters, care about these children coming over? Okay, it's already been reported that the Vatican has been taking young African boys and selling them on the international market. Okay, now you come over here and you see, oh, here's federal judge. Federal judge blocks billions of dollars for border wall funding. Why would he do that? I don't know, probably because he's under Vatican. Because his ethics laws are all canon laws under the Vatican. California barred the Trump administration they like to Friday night from reallocating $2.5 billion to construct border barriers. Now they're border barriers, right? U.S. District Court Judge Haywood Gillum, an Obama appointee. No, he's a communist appointee. Okay, Obama's just a communist bitch. That's all he is. He does what he's told. They give him little bits of power here and there, but he's in no way in charge of anything. Okay, he's a bitch. He's told he does what he's told all the time. They go, Barack, go do this. Yes, sir. That's Barack. Okay. Yes, sir. I do it anytime. Anything you say, I do. Okay. Now, so you've got this guy here who's under these guys here, meaning the bishops and the priests and all that. They're all under there. And then you've got this guy here who he denounces trickle-down economics, which has never been confirmed by the facts. he's basically a commie, is what he is. He's saying he's a communist in this particular story. Then you've got, oh, here we go. Vatican sex abuse. When investigators swept in and raided the religious Antonio Provallo Institute for the Deaf, they uncovered one of the worst cases yet among the global abuse scandals plaguing the Catholic Church. A place of silent torment where prosecutors say pedophiles preyed on the most isolated and submissive children. That's horrible, man. And this guy did absolutely nothing about it. But he ignored it. Why? Because he agreed with it. He does it every day. So, or every other day whenever he gets a chance or has time. He goes through all the crowd, picked out a child, has them brought up. Oh, they get to go see the Pope, all that crap. You know how they are. The scope of the alleged abuse was vast. Charges were pending against 13 suspects. The 14th person pleaded guilty to sexual abuse. That means they all did it, and everybody knows it, including rape, and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The case of the accused ringleader, an octogenarian Italian priest named Nicolai Carati. I probably butchered that anyways, is set to go before a judge next month. Okay? He didn't do anything about it. Why didn't he do anything about it? Because he's involved. That's why. He condones it. He sets it up. A lot of his priests are animals. So he's got to feed the animals. That's the way it works. They're very obedient to him when he can feed him what he wants. He's got him on a. It's hard to control a worldwide organization when you don't have everybody compromised. And if you're under his protection, then he can go ahead and do what he wants. He can have those priests do what he wants, and that's what this guy was under. Now they'll come out later on after this program. Okay, they know a lot of people listen to this show. They'll come out later on and say, "Oh, they'll try to separate El Paso Bishop from the Pope," but the Pope told him to do it. Guaranteed, told him to do it. Guaranteed, this guy is involved in some kind of pedophilia, child trafficking, or something like that, because all of them are. It's not just, there's no, oh, well, this guy's a good guy and this guy's a bad guy. It's a big organization. No, they're all doing it. They're all involved. You can't not be involved in that. Because whether he's physically doing it or not, he knows it's happening. And he's not outing anybody. Okay? You know how many international crimes this idiot friggin' broke when he did that? He escorts families across the bridge. He had no business doing that. He violated international law big time. And he's out there blessing them and all this other kind of crap. This is all show. Okay? I'd love to see that ring. I can't see that ring. But anyway, so this is all show. He doesn't give a flying flip. He just wants the children. Because they're bringing a lot of children over that are not their parents. They're trafficking them over to these guys right here. So they can supply adrenochrome and children to other governments to keep them under wraps. Makes you wonder what Merkel's involved with, right? Makes you wonder what this guy up in Canada is involved with. Trudeau or Macron over in France. He's screwing his country over left and right. What do they got on him? That's the whole thing. And they're pushing the Bail Pior, but we'll get into the Bail Pior here in a little while. Why Pope's summit on abuse disappointed some survivors. It's because he has no intention of doing anything about it. It's all show. No intention whatsoever of doing anything about any of that. Okay? So, what you have in your court system is a bunch of people based on this right here, U.S. District Haywood Gillum, a Obama bitch employee or appointee, I'm sorry, okay, running sex operations and all that. They know what's going on across the border. This guy knows it's happening. He's under Vatican law, which is canon law. He knows it's going on, and he is stopping it, stopping the border wall from going up to stop this from happening with the child sex slavery and all this other stuff. He knows it's happening, and he's blocking the money to make sure that that it keeps going. This gets even bigger. Okay, this is just the beginning. And he's all into the Baal Peor, Baalpeor. If you want to know what that is, we've got it on the T-Row show and a couple of earlier videos. You can watch it. So right around the same time, here's June 29th. Here's June 27th. 2 days earlier. This guy comes out. 2 days later, this guy comes out. Same difference. Okay. Actually, this is 12:02 a.m., so this is about a day and a half later. So this was the signal from this guy to stop this crap. Open that border. We have children to supply, and we have adrenochrome to supply, and you're cutting off our supply. That's what's happening. That's why that guy would do that and then start going, oh, this is horrible. All these poor children and blah, blah, blah. And that's not going on at all. Okay, so why are these people coming over from Africa that got wads of cash? Oh, I don't know, simply because they're all traffickers and they need those guys to get the supply. And Francis is saying, hey, man, you're messing up with our supply lines. You're messing up our supply lines. So this deal that you guys made between Mexico and the United States of America, you're messing up our supply lines for our children in adrenochrome, in a Baal Peor. Practitioners, worshipers. We have a religious right to do this because it's Baal Peor, right? They're worshiping Baal, so they're claiming religious rights and all this other kind of crap on behind the scenes. But if you start looking at it, it's very clear what's going on. Very clear, and it's all going on in the courts. So fire everyone in every court in the country and start over. Why? Because they're all in on it. They're helping, and they're blocking anybody from trying to stop it. Trying to stop the child sex molestation, the child sex rings, the child trafficking, the adrenochrome. That's their supply line. That's their new world order product. It's very expensive, by the way. I think it's like $10,000 for parents to go in and get transfusions with children's blood. We've got pictures that are pretty gruesome of children with their faces cut off, the skin ripped off. Then they bleed them out. One was found on, I think, Hillary's server. They bleed them out, and then they drink the blood and adrenochrome. It's called adrenaline charged blood. Okay, so now you see the connection. Now you see why this guy jumped in. He's jumping in because, hey, man, we've got a lot of families coming up. There's a lot of children in there, and we're going to take them, and we're going to get them. And we're mixing in our children that we're trafficking up here into all these families and making it appear as if, oh, this is just horrible for stopping this. They're just horrible. Okay, so it's not over the edge to even say fire everyone in those courtrooms, because they're all involved in this kind of stuff. It's all right here. And there's no good ones or bad ones. They all know about it. So you had what? Johnny, you had one guy, or you actually were saying, okay, this is what we got. How are they? How are they known as communists? By the way, I believe that's what it was.
I'm sorry, what about communist?
We were talking, and you started talking about communists, and started talking about what we had learned and what we knew so
Well,
far.
yeah, there's a lot going on out here. I mean, well, let's look at the courts you're talking about right now with the courts. I mean, you got a canon doctrine running in a courtroom by people who are mostly Catholic. So you've got a spear of Catholic religion running the court system. That alone's problematic. And so the communism, I mean, every day I find a new source of it. I mean, it's bad enough that the Democratic Party had to declare interdependency of 1976 and slide it in through the IMF and through the World Affairs in Pennsylvania and create these B labs and B corporations and all of that. But I mean, every time you turn around, it's something else, it's something else. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and if you look at what the the ideology is that people are doing, it always keeps coming back to safety and welfare and communism and interdependency, and I mean it just goes on and on and on. This guy here, the Pope, he's definitely walking along that line of communism. So apparently we've ignored that over a period of time, and now it's come back to haunt us.
Okay, so we've got all right.
So I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, where do we begin? I don't know where to begin anymore. It's just every day it's a different day. You find something new.
Right. So you have, in other words, you have all this going on. Everybody knows this communism is going on in the country. We already know, on based on a couple of things that we've done in uh, the Reign of the Heaven Society post. If you go and read some of it, we're actually uncovering a lot of that. Why would they ignore a social compact of the people? It's because the reason is because communists believe that the state has authority within itself. It doesn't need the authority from the people. Okay. Now, religiously, and a religious point of view, that's idol worship, violation of the first commandment. That's idol worship. So that's why they don't have a social compact. That's why the people haven't signed a social compact, because it's never been brought to their attention to sign a social compact. When they all know that it should be signed, and they all know it's within the law of nations to sign a social compact so that everybody agrees and everything runs cleanly. Okay, they know that. U.S. state of Texas judiciary declares itself a communist state. That's why they did it. Okay, they have it in their constitution that you have a social compact, and then they come back and say, "Oh, you need to prove this." Okay, but I haven't seen their thing yet. All free men, when they form a social compact, have equal rights. It's right here. Where's the social compact? Anybody sign one? No. This was Section 3 of their Constitution. Go look it up. Section 3, equal rights. It's right there in front of everybody. But yet a communist believes that the state of Texas itself has authority. Doesn't need anybody else. So what does it do? It goes into the spiritual war. That's why it feels so freaking weird in this country, because you don't really see a lot of disruption between, like the groceries and stuff in the stores and all this other junk. Okay, you don't really see a disruption in supply, demand, stores, trade, commerce, anything like that. But you're seeing something else that's very weird and eerie. It's pure evil beyond imagination. It's because you're dealing with a spiritual war. It's a spiritual war that has come upon you. And if you're a non-believer, you just don't believe in that kind of stuff, you're never going to recognize that. You're never going to see it. exactly what they're doing. You're just gonna get real irritated and not really understand why you're irritated. Okay, only a communist believes that the state can stand alone without a people or a permanent population in a social compact because the state is the god of the communists and socialists. No, they're idol worshippers. Okay, Tom, you've got one, right? Those who call themselves Jews but are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. Here we go. This is the video that you guys are going to want to see.
All set?
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, damn it.
It's all right.
I made it a little small screen.
When I was a kid, I'd say, when I was a young senator, I'd say, if I were a Jew, I'd be a Zionist. I am a Zionist. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist.
While some American progressives.
All right, stop right there. Now let's go back. Just go back just a little bit. Not all the way back. Just now watch that. See right there? When he says, I am a Zionist, look at he put his hand right on him. I was waiting for him to start kissing.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
I was waiting for him to start tonguing Biden. That's what it looks like he's doing.
At least this time we didn't have all the hand signs and all going on.
Yeah. He just puts a hand on his shoulder. Oh, I am a Zionist. Oh, it's like a dude flirting with another dude. It's ugh. All right.
Yeah.
That's the synagogue of Satan. Okay. But it's things like that. He's a Zionist. So those who call themselves Jews but are not, but they're a synagogue of Satan. You don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. He just called himself a Satanist. That's who they are.
He defined what kind of Jew he says he is.
Yeah, that he's like a non-Jew.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
He's a Zionist, and Zionists are devil worshiping Satan worshippers.
Yep, and they're the Jew that's not a Jew.
Right. But will hide behind Israel all the time, right? Or act like they do. So you've got communists at the highest level. You've got child pedo rings at the highest level. You've got them all in the courtrooms, all the way from the local to state and federal. Everybody in there knows it's going on, and nobody's saying anything, so therefore all of them are guilty of it, because you're not saying anything, you're not coming out with it. You're hiding it. And since you're hiding it, you're involved with it. When you are aware of a crime that's going on, and you don't say anything about it or do anything about it, then you're a part of it. That has got me in more trouble than you can imagine. Because I say something about it, and obviously they come and attack. You're a fraud, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. You suck. But I don't care. My conscience is clean. I sleep really well at night. So what we're dealing with here is basically Baal Peor. They're pushing that. Now, Baal, Peor. If you want to know what that is, go online and find it. You can find it. It's Baal worshiping. The god of holes, they call it. I know it sounds messed up, but that's what it is. And they know that this is completely against heaven. They know that. So Balaam wanted to destroy Israel. So what he did was he started introducing them to the temple whores, the Baal temple whores, and got all the men involved in that Baal Peor worship, which is screwing them every which way but loose there. And when they started doing that, for a fee, of course, they got involved in all kinds of diseases. They got involved in all kinds of stuff they shouldn't have been involved with. They were not living clean lives. None of it was going on. They had nothing, they had completely forgot what the world was all about and started getting into this Baal worship, and therefore a lot of them were destroyed. Or they destroyed themselves through disease and everything else. But they were trying to, here's the key here. This is what you're up against. What they're trying to do is they're keeping all of the supply in the country, including adrenochrome in children. They want to keep that supply going. Okay? So they don't want any disturbances in the domestic area, they call it. They don't want disturbances in Walmart or Target or any of those grocery stores. They want all that to keep going. Just keep it going. And if somebody says something, the truth, they want to stop that real quick. So they shut that down. Anybody talking to the truth, anybody saying anything, shut it down. We're going to arrest them, hate crime, blah, 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 blah. Or we're going to censor them. We're going to censor them and shut them up. Because they're witnessing against us. They're violating our religious rights. That's what the claim is, okay? Against all these people that are trying to shut this crap down. And really what it's come down to is now they're trying to manipulate God against the country with the Baal Peor. That's why they're forcing it. That's why they have gay priests and all this other kind of crap going on. They're not gay, they're Baal Peor worshipers. Baal Peor, Baal Peor, whatever you want to call it. P-E-O-R. Just remember that. Just go look it up. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring satanic forces in to force God's hand against the country. That's the plan. And if they can do it all over the world, which is what they're trying to do, that's why this LGBTQ thing is going all over the world. Then they could get God to destroy the world. And if they can get God to destroy the world all the way down to 500,000, that kind of fits the whole plan of the 500,000 people that they want left after they kill off the rest of the world. That's what they're doing. That's what's happening. And they lie, man, they lie. They cheat, they lie, they steal, they do whatever they can do to make all this, they're trying to make it a reality. So what you got here is this. Now, is this the last pope? I don't know. I can tell you one thing, he's declared war against heaven. Everything that he was told not to do, everything that he's told in the Bible to do, he does the exact opposite. He is at war. He has said there is no hell. What else has he stated, Johnny Rowe? There is no hell.
Yeah, and well, not only that, but it's obvious that people don't read the Law of Nations because people before us has wrote this in the Law of Nations. They wrote enough in there to give everybody enough information as to what all the popes do. I mean,
Chapter 12.
Yeah, chapter 12, chapter 21, and all the others. So the bottom line is it's really hard to have a family show about this because the Baal Peor is you can't even explain it without getting into stuff that you wouldn't want your kids to hear. So
That's true.
I mean, it really is. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And the average person out here doesn't understand that. I took this entirely different. I took it that that for years being gay and doing those things was really a mental health issue. And now I said, well, I guess the communists converted it into a new meaning. But now apparently we've got the old doctrines coming back to haunt us, and most of us didn't believe these old doctrines to begin with. So it really confuses everybody. Anybody out here listening to this is going to be confused unless you really do some research. You're not going to understand it. So
yeah, if you've got a judge, okay, if you're sitting there in front of a judge and every decision he makes all day is the most unfair decision he could possibly make and the worst decision he could possibly make, he actually committed a tort while he was on there and made his decision.
Yeah.
Or her decision, that tells you that they're at war with you.
Well, nobody has to tell you that. Once you go into those places where they try to put their private court system on you, nobody's got to tell you that because it gets pretty gnarly in there. And this sentencing now looks to me like it's double, triple, quadrupled in time. So there's nothing, it's a paper war. If at least it's a paper war, but apparently they have an agenda going on in these courtrooms.
It is a society forming agenda to get you used to watching little boys dance for you, having men call little boys hot. That's just an age difference. That's all it is. It's all there. And then having Google come in, okay, and manipulate the algorithms to make sure that you see these things every day. That's exactly what they're doing. There's plenty of evidence based on it. And have you noticed that, man, they shut that down pretty quick, didn't they? It was like 3 days. And all of a sudden, a lot of people have probably forgotten about the Google Veritas video. I mean, that's how quick it was. People forget about it.
Well, that goes beyond forced association, and I mean, people's getting in your head telling you what to think.
Yeah. Because you got to realize the Bail Peor is bad stuff, guys. I mean, it's really bad. And we're trying to really tell you this, you really got to stop it. And because somebody has declared war and you're involved with it. Whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. It's going to happen anyways. Okay? In other words, the destruction will start coming anyways. Okay? Now think about it this way. You don't believe that, there's no way, that's just crazy. Okay, now T-Row's just gone way off the deep end. All right? Let's just go into May. May, 500 tornadoes in 1 month. All the years prior, 275 per year. Watch the signs. Earthquakes. You seen them all. 500 tornadoes in 1 month. Flooding constantly. They go, oh, well, that's not God. That's that machine they've got up there in Alaska for weather modification. It's them doing it. They're simulating God. Okay, whatever you want to believe, doesn't matter. You can explain away a lot of it. But these guys that are doing it with the Bail Peor know what they're doing. They believe more than you do, and that's why they're winning. Because they're on the other side. It's a spiritual war. That's why it feels so creepy. That's why it feels like, man, you want to do something, but if you did something, it would seem like it would be overboard, right? If you went out and did something, you tried to stop it, then it would feel like it was overboard. They do that on purpose. That's a spiritual war. I know everybody is like, man, I don't know. They're all waiting for something to happen. But look what happened to Europe. Same thing happened to them. All these migrants were coming in and everything else. They go, well, they'd already took their guns, okay? So they couldn't fight it.
Yeah, they're regretting that right now too. I mean, I see that all the time now on the web pages where they're regretting they even got close to doing that kind of stuff, because in some of them over there, they probably lost their country already. This is a short period of time to lose your country.
3 years.
Yeah. So, creeping Sharia, they don't call it creeping Sharia because this looks like Christmas. It's bad. And it's amazing that people could be that naive. I guess left thinking, as far as I'm concerned, is a form of brain damage. But anyway, I don't even know how to even talk to it because it's just so bad.
And,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, when you come right down to it, Somebody goes out there, they find something, they try to tell the truth about it, and who's the one that shuts them down? Google's the one that censors them. They got about 98% of all the control over the internet. They're the one that censors Alex Jones. They censor us. They censor anybody else that tells the truth.
Right.
Well,
We get about a
the-
million hits a week right now. Okay, a little bit over, because I think we're at 6 or 7 million right now for the month. And so they haven't censored a lot. In other words, yeah, we get censored on Facebook, we get censored on YouTube, but it really hasn't stopped anything. We may get 400 or 500 hits on a video on YouTube, maybe, but I don't care about that. They didn't help do the millions of hits that we do get. So, yeah, they haven't gotten that bad, but they are moving on towards, we're just going to take you off the internet altogether. Just take your website down. That's where they're headed.
Yep.
That's the part I was getting about Google. Google controls the internet. So whoever they decided telling something that they don't want known, all they got to do is flip the switch on them. They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that.
Well, when the communists come in, when Obama come in, it didn't take long. Didn't take long for them to let you know that they were there to change America, and they did just that. I mean, you have to, the communists, they tell you what they're going to do. They don't really hide it, like you'd think a common thief would. They would just hide it, but they tell you what they're going to do. Now, it may be 6 months down the road. It may be 5 years down the road. It may be a generation down the road. But they hang it right out there and let everybody know. I mean, they don't. Who would have thought that the Democrat Party would come in and actually make a counter declaration against the 1776 Declaration? That's exactly what they did. And then they put in their infrastructure behind it. And who here has done a thing about it? I don't see anybody doing anything about it myself.
Who does the advertisement for them?
Yeah.
That's Disney. All the movies come out. That's where they're advertising what they're doing, how they're doing it, and everything else. They're not hiding anything. They're putting it right in your face, and they're doing it in such a way you don't even realize it's being done. Go ahead, Keith.
It's got yeah, there's one commercial I saw the other day, and they I think it's Ted Danson and this other woman who's on I can't remember her name. She's just a basic actress. She's on SNL a lot. And they go, oh, she goes, oh, Ted, they're moving in they're zooming in on the camera. So they keep going down slower and slower and slower. And all of a sudden you're seeing Ted Danson on the left, and you see the woman on the right, and it's got her eye right in the middle of the circle there. And I'm like, oh, it's another freaking Illuminati commercial. That's all it is. And they do it all the time. It's every day. Every single day, all day long, you're getting bombarded with a religion. You're getting bombarded with a religion on a daily basis, folks. And you don't know it because you don't know it's religion. Just yesterday, they declared Satanism and Luciferianism as a religion. Saw that, or one of our guys in the committee brought it up. They just declared it. So you're seeing this every day, right in front of you. Now, what are you going to do about it? Now, you can tell the Christians this, okay? Best thing for you guys to do is start praying to Jesus and ask him to remove these demons from this land. Pray that he does that. Because this is a spiritual war. This is not a physical war. That's what really needs to happen. Pray that he removes these demons from the world, from this country. All people are demon influenced. They believe that they're going to get their kingdom. They kill a bunch of children and all this stuff. They think they're going to get a kingdom when they die in hell. This is a spiritual thing. If you don't believe, just go ahead and shut the show off because you're not going to get this. All right. This is a spiritual thing. And if there was enough people to start doing that and start praying every day, when you have a chance, pray while you're eating, pray while you're taking a shower, pray while you're working, pray all day long. Pray to remove these demons, move these demons back. Then these people that are influenced no longer have power. People in the Illuminati know exactly what I'm talking about. That's what they're afraid of. But are there enough believers on the other side? That's the whole thing. And that's the only thing that's going to turn this around. Sounds crazy. Sounds nuts. But it's true. And truth always does sound crazy and nuts. At first. And then you start looking at it and go, wow, man, that makes sense. Why don't we do that? All start praying. Just every day, pray. As long as you can, as long as you're awake. Then when you go back to bed, you wake up, start praying again. Remove these demons from this land. Remove the demons. Heal the land. Heal the land. Heal the land. Heal the land. Over and over again. As he said, if you turn to him, he'll heal your land. Heal your land from what? Heal your land from this Baal Peor, Satan worshiping crap going on around you that are using children as sacrifice, adrenochrome, sexual pleasures, torture, and all these other things. You don't believe it's going on, but it is. That's what the fight at the border is about. Wake up. You don't believe it's happening, but it is happening. Okay? And it's happening every single day. You wouldn't think it's going on because on the surface you're going, oh, well, those people, those poor people, they just want to come up here and work and have a chance at life. They should have a chance too. That's not true. Because there are hundreds of children that are being brought up with people that are not their parents. That's a fact, by the way. When they started doing DNA tests on them, that's a fact. So what they're doing is they're coming in as a family, and those same children that are in their hand, those children are being trafficked to the sex trade. And the bishops are trying to stop this stopping of it, the halting of this going on with a wall. The bishops are trying to stop it. Then they call their judge friends. Hey, we got to stop that over there. We need to have our supply coming through. Our supply of children. If we stop supplying them, then they start singing. They start turning against us. And we don't want that to happen. See, that's how they're thinking. They're afraid that all these guys that don't have all this supply of children are going to start singing the truth in rebellion because they won't get their drug. That's what happens in their world. That's why we say, fire everybody in those courts because all of them are involved in this. It's sad, it's sick, and this is what's going on. And they're okay. How do you, folks, put yourself in this situation? If you're a child trafficker and you're making millions, by the way, a month, how do you account for that money? You got to freaking what? You got to launder the money. You got to find somebody to launder that money. So what do? Let's up these fines, get this money as much as we possibly can, and start laundering the money through the court system. Get real suspicious when they say, oh, we don't take checks and we don't take credit cards. We only take cash. That's what a court tells you. We only take cash. Really? Where's that cash go? Just because you're a court don't mean we trust you with cash.
Well, they take legal currency.
Uh-huh.
Legal tender.
Uh-huh. Now you understand why they won't take the continental dollar. It's because they can't launder the money with it. They can't launder their trafficking, their drugs, and all that stuff money with it. That's why they always take cash. They don't take checks, folks, because that causes a money trail. Don't want to do that.
A paper trail, yes.
Yeah, paper trail. So when you got a court that's saying we only take cash, get real suspicious. There's a lot of crap going on there. When they don't want a paper trail, that court's doing something wrong. And when they get nasty, when you're not paying, or you can't pay, or I got to pay this, and they start getting violent with you, that's a criminal doing that. Maybe you'll start seeing the courts a little bit different.
I'd say extortionist.
Yeah. An extortionist starts pressuring families they know they can't afford it. They're trying to eat. That's what they do.
You mean like when you get told that you can't take a job and the court wants you to go out and work so that you can get a certain specie of money to pay them cash? Is that?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. We have a court case like that, folks.
Yeah, I was trying not to say it, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a court case like that, and we're not going to get into the names, but there's a court case that we're dealing with that they'll let him out of of jail if he gets a job. And then so we said, okay, he's got a job. So we offered him, a job over at the International Lawyers Association to get paid in continental dollars. They turn around and say, oh, no, he needs a job where he gets paid USD.
Yeah, you got to come over here and make our money because that's the only money we want. Well, wait a minute, the other one's legal tender.
It's all legal tender.
Oh, you're refusing legal tender. I get it.
Uh-huh.
You only want the private currency.
Yes, you want the money that you can launder this other money with.
That oligarchy money must be pretty good, huh?
Yeah, must be.
I guess.
I just don't know how they justified taking in cash and then calling that laundered money, laundering other money with it, if it's cash in the first place.
Well, it's all about definition. I mean, if they're operating in communism, then they just rename all the words to fit their usage of the word and do a conversion on the word, and there you go. They're legal, man.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. Hell, we should be doing that, I guess.
Yeah, if you can't legitimize it, just rename it and make it different.
We'll reclassify it. Yeah, let's call it this.
Yeah.
And they do this every day, all day long. We sit and watch them do it. And how are we able to know this? Well, if you read the Law of Nations, it tells you how a country is supposed to run. So when you see somebody doing something the opposite of how it's supposed to run, you know what they're doing. It's easy.
Oh my gosh! If you get these people over here trained on the Law of Nations, they won't be able to use that bail no more.
That's right.
That bail just all of a sudden starts disappearing when you know what they're doing and how they're doing it. The veil doesn't work anymore. Amazing.
If people knew, okay, just one example. If people knew, I'll tell everybody right now, that rights do not start. In other words, you don't have any rights whatsoever unless you have obligations. And if you have an obligation, now you have a right. There's a legal right to do something. We had one guy that said, we got rights without obligations. Oh, yeah, that's a real winner. That was in those patriot groups, right? And the son of the soil type patriot. If we had obligations, we don't need obligations to have rights. We have rights anyways. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're a father, even though you don't have any children, right? So you have the rights of a father without having children? Duh. Okay, it doesn't get that. So they don't understand what we're saying. So if you just knew that, you can see what's going on. You can see that if you don't have a social compact, you don't have the obligation of upholding the state. If you don't have the obligation of upholding the state, how do you have any rights within that state?
Well, really, it means you're not part of the society, and if you're not part of the society, then How can you be a member under the Roman Curia? How can you have a marriage license? How can you have a license to drive? I mean, the whole license scenario got thrown out the window.
Yeah,
Well,
213.
we could just start our own common law court, you know, and we'll start our common law grand jury court. You know how it
We'll
goes.
call it the Citizens Grand Jury. That's what
Yeah,
we'll do. Yeah.
yeah, and we'll create it out of nothing, just like the de facto does, and it'll have lawful consequences.
Yeah, and everybody out there knows that a license is not a thing in the world except where you pay somebody money to allow you to break a law.
It goes on and on and on.
Oh man, it does.
And
And
we
that's
make-
why I have the right to travel, man.
Okay. Now that's not really funny because I can't talk about it, but
Yeah, I hear you. But so that's where we're, if you just knew the law of nations, you could see all the problems and all the things that people do. You can see wording very quickly when it goes wrong, when it goes south. Okay. You can watch these declarations of status and blah blah blah. I'm looking at them, reading them. At one point, they're saying they have God-given rights, and at the second time, within the same sentence, they're saying that that they have rights under the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. So, well, you just said you had God-given rights. So you have God-given rights, then you turn around, and slap him in the face, and say, "Oh, it's enshrined in the Constitution and Bill of Rights." Oh, okay, good one.
Well, that's a good one. Since you go to the state courts, they're not using that. Matter of fact, one of my friends went there because his license expired. He had to go there, and he asked the judge. He told the judge he wanted to exercise his constitutional rights in the courtroom, and the guy pulls his glasses on the end of his nose and says, "You know, you're going to be climbing up a slippery rope before you get that Constitution to work in our courtrooms." Boy, what a wake-up call he got, huh?
Yeah. So, and we're telling people right now, you're going to sit there over and over, and we've got this on record many, many times, that you're going to sit every single day and you're going to be fighting for those constitutional rights that you think you have every single day, and you're going to get it. You're going to win, and what that is nothing more than a delay tactic. It's a delay tactic. That's all it is. That's all that's going on, is to keep you busy fighting for something that was never yours in the first place because you don't have a social compact to the Constitution of the United States. But if you read the Law of Nations, you'd know that, and you'd give it up. You'd say, all right, forget it. I got to go somewhere else. I got to
Which
become a
brings
part of
up-
a social compact somewhere because you're not going to get anywhere with it. What's that, Tom?
They don't even have the mechanics, the infrastructure for the mechanics to even do one.
No.
It's a legal impossibility.
Which brings up the reason why George Washington kept the Law of Nations in his house and never returned it to the library, because everyone would know they'd need a social compact agreement in order to form a real government.
In order to form a real government in a real country, yes. They would have to do that. And if they don't have a separate social compact from a constitution, because the Constitution is not a social compact. We have all that in, I think it was, what was it, 124? 122 or 124?
Something like that. And very conveniently, the United States of America president does not have an oath in their Constitution. So how can he be president if there's no oath?
Under the 1789, yeah.
That's correct.
Well, that's because it's a private charter. Oops.
Yep. The thing of it is, being as a company, they can't put a governmental president in. They can only put a company president in.
Oh, so then you just gave that away, because if it's a private company, then they really aren't supposed to be acting as a government. They have to be all private and stuff. That's the courts that have to be private.
They can only do business as a government.
Yeah.
And
Those
they're
aren't one and the same, are they?
not quite. And their private courts out there are not courts either.
Nope. So
They're
that means you can't get a public trial, can you?
they're private administrative proceedings.
Yep.
That's right.
To administer the king's business through administration, just like they do in Spain, just like
Yeah.
they do in France.
They
But
admit
who
it.
knew that Spain had a freaking king, right? And
They
who knows that France has a king?
they administer company business through the courts. Not law, company business.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
So we're trying to tell people there's a social compact that's available. We have one. We've had the link on it for quite a while. It's on our DOT site. It's at the United States of America 1781.com/DOT. You have to do a resident declaration before you do one into the United States of America. Then you do your social compact. Then you're able to go in and you can either form your state, or we were thinking about revamping all that. So because there's a lot of people that are not really qualified to run a state. They've never read the Law of Nations, so they can't really run a state. So we're gonna try an interim type thing situation that will give people some time to acclimate themselves to it, to learn about it, and to learn how to run a country. So we had a pretty good plan. We just didn't have the people to run the countries, all the different states. That's the plan that's kind of failing here. But the whole plan was to move persons over to the states of the union. We've done that. That's all done. But the problem is that when they get there, they don't know how to run a state because that takes time. So if we were to sit and train somebody, say we were supposed to train a governor, secretary of state, and all that, if we were to train them, which takes about 4 or 5 years to do that in order to be able to run a country correctly, if we were to do that, then there wouldn't be any free elections, would there?
Nope.
Mm.
And not only that, but when people come in, they got good intentions and everything else, but you've got to untrain them for a lifetime of lies that they've been told about what is and what isn't before you can actually get them to thinking in the proper frame of mind with the proper laws to be able to run a country.
Right. And the whole thing is basically writing. It's not necessarily reading. They can read, but they can't. They have a hard time writing stuff. So that's and I'm not cutting people down. I'm just saying this is what we're the problem we're having. So I think we're going to restructure this. I've been thinking about it for about a week or so. I've talked to the ANU about it. I was going to talk to the Assembly about it, National Assembly, on how to restructure all this to where it gives people a chance. They have the same rights and everything, but it gives them a chance to learn while they have the rights. In other words, it's on the job training.
You know, Keith, to me, it looks like a lot of people really don't, they have a hard time getting that in their mind that they can get back to the country that was actually taken away from them. It's really, really hard to understand that because I had to deal with that too. That when I was a kid, that's all I was ever taught was the United States of America. And we didn't really get into any of this corporate stuff. And that's before they changed the schools, I guess. Now I'm telling my age. But the bottom line is for people over there to realize that you can have the country back that was taken away, that was actually taken away from you. That's really pretty amazing. You got a second shot. It's just a matter of understanding it. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the people that are here that want to be here love it. You can't get them out of here. You can't get. They'll be clawing at the door frame. No way in hell you're getting them out of here. Okay, and nobody wants to make them get out of here. Nobody's trying to push them out. Nothing like that. It's not like that at all.
Well,
I'm just saying that's how bad
actually
they
like
want to be here. Then you have other people coming in, and they come in and they start trying to sabotage it. And those are basically your Baal Peor worshipers. They're devil worshipers, Satan worshipers, and all that. They're just trying to destroy it because they're jealous.
Well, we get those liberty people, but they get confused. They think that this 1789 Constitution is their Constitution when technically it's just a business charter, and they think that we're interfering with it when in fact we're the first Constitution, and what they're dealing with there is the second Constitution, and we are kind of outside and different of that. We don't really want that because it's got all kinds of problems. You can keep those problems right over there in it.
It's got too many flaws.
It does.
There's a lot of flaws in it, and like what John was saying, with there's no oath and affirmation for a president of the United States of America. That's the lowercase t, by the way. There's no president there. You can't. There's no oath, and that's the president that's supposed to have executive powers, and he has no oath of office.
Yep. And people not being able to write, you can blame that back on the public schools out there that don't teach them how to write.
Mm-hmm.
And that is done deliberate so that people won't be able to understand what they do read.
Right. So right in the middle of this war, by the way, the war that's being placed against us, we've got to stop and in order for a future to even happen and a future of the country to even happen, we have got to set up education centers to teach people to read, write, learn how to write documents, what an affidavit is. One of our postmasters came up the other day and said, look, I've got people here that don't know the elements of an affidavit. We have to set up a class just for that.
I have people tell me that they have to print stuff now. They don't teach them cursive. And that was the first thing I was taught when I was by second, third grade. I was already writing some cursive.
Yeah, then you got somebody on the internet trying to justify that and say, oh, that's cursed language. What?
Oh, I've heard that one too. That's really funny that you say that. But I've noticed that a lot of the resident declarations are coming in as printed and not written.
Right, or they say "by" and then they have a little hyphen there. I was like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, all rights reserved.
That's another freaking guru out there that's taught them this stuff. And
do you know how many million miles of circles and swirls that I did on paper when I was learning how to write?
No.
I mean, you'd make a letter, and just the width of a pencil line, you'd make that letter repeatedly all the way across here.
Yep.
In cursive writing.
Yeah, we did that too.
I got 2-3 million miles of them things on paper.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're going to have to redo a complete re-education system. And we're going to have to do it fairly quickly. Otherwise, a whole generation is going to be lost.
They'll never be able to read the old documents, that's for sure.
An old generation is already lost because 60 million of them have been murdered.
Yeah.
Before they even got here. Then it's going to be those that are already here are now getting into Satanism and Baal Peor, which may cause them to perish if they don't turn fairly quickly or before their last breath. So that being said, we've got a real problem here, and it's going to take people with some with a sack here to get things done, and quit worrying about what everybody else is telling you, and quit worrying about you got to think 20, 30 years down the road, 50 years down the road of what the future of your country and your children are going to run into. And you can't have a child that doesn't know how to write. And it will believe this whole thing that cursive writing is a curse. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But when you're ignorant, you believe stuff like that. You also believe stuff when you're ignorant when, oh, I've got a magic freaking account and I've got billions of dollars in it and I can pay it with that. Oh, and by the way, the bill you get is a coupon. It's already prepaid. All you got to do is turn it over and sign it. That's all. That's not what it's about. It's about using you to launder money. Get it? That's the way it works. To justify all the crimes is so the criminal syndicates can launder money through you. They just need you to keep making the money. Get it? That's what you're there for. That's your purpose. You work. They take 60% of it, launder that. With that, we'll protect you. That's their job. That's what they're saying. And that and we'll give you all these cool things to make your life easier so you can still work, give us money so we can launder it. That's
So you
kind of the deal.
become a mutually agreeable slave, I guess, is what you
Yeah.
call that.
And if you get out of line, you're a sovereign citizen, domestic terrorist, and we're going to kill you. Because anybody calls you a sovereign citizen, that's attempted murder. Because they're getting ready to kill you.
Yep.
That's the way it works. So we've got to get, and the only way to get around that, educated people. It's on our $500 bill. George Washington Carver was born a slave and absolutely 100% freed himself through what he knew. He educated himself, and that education freed him. He was no longer a slave. See, when you become smarter than the masters, they let you go because you embarrass them.
Yep, that monetary slavery is pretty tricky.
So I know we're not saying that we're not giving you roses here and saying, oh, the world is wonderful and it's all great. We're telling you the truth and what we see on a daily basis, and that needed to be said. And you need to make the change. Now I'm going to be putting together some American National Union separate videos to teach people how the American National Union is put together and how our money system is put together, because we can actually take all local currencies, use the continental dollar as the medium of exchange between, there it is right there, the medium of exchange between the local currencies, and make it a nationwide thing, which means anybody can start a local currency. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly legal in every state. And you can join our network, which I already have the network built. And you can turn around and use that money like Ithaca hours over there. And I know Berkshire's is out. This is just an example. If you have a different currency somewhere else, you want to spend your Ithaca hours there, you transfer them to continental dollars, you go over the lines, and the continental dollars are then transferred into that other money, and you can go ahead and spend it in another town. That's just another thing that we can do with the continental dollar. We've got 4 ideas that are awesome ideas to change and turn this around.
So how many governors did we have over here before that was changed? Was it 7 or 9?
Before what was changed?
Before the 1789 Constitution come out with Washington in it. Was it 7 or 9 that we had?
George Washington Carver?
Yeah.
That's our money.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about. And under our government over here, how many governors did we have before 1789 come into play? Was it 7 or 9 or how many?
13.
Oh, it's 13. Okay.
I thought it was 8, but okay.
See, people over here don't even know about these things. They don't even realize that we had black governors. They just don't know what they lost, really.
They called George Washington the first president, but he wasn't, because John Hanson was 13 years earlier.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. They call him the first president of the United States. They don't call him the first president of the United States of America.
Right.
There you go.
So they are correct about that.
And it's also we've got documentation said that the United States of America and the company ran parallel for 13 years.
That's in the Declaration of Interdependence in 1976.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's almost on the last page. They said that they operated that way. I showed that on one of the T-Row shows.
Yep.
And so we know there's 2 separate timelines. So folks, I don't know how many times we got to say this before we go here, but we're not working under the Constitution. We're not claiming to be under the Constitution. We've said this probably, I don't know, 100 times, and people still in their head, they don't get that. They still think we're operating under the Constitution. We're not. We don't understand that. Why they keep saying it.
We wouldn't be here. That would be a trespass.
Yeah.
Well, they're not either when it comes to the states.
Yeah, I know.
They don't know it though.
Yeah, they don't know that. They're not even
No.
operating under their state's constitutions.
No.
Because in their state constitutions it says that you have to have a social compact. And they don't even operate under that.
Well, they're operating under the company charter that they use to push our actual government out of existence.
Yeah.
Which was the 1781.
That's correct.
Not the 1789, because people think that, oh, well, that was a republic. No, it wasn't. Never was a republic. Never had been a republic. Never will be a republic.
1781, the very one that we brought back in 2012 and reinstated
Right.
and put it back in operation, brought everything forward.
That was consisting of 13 republics,
That's correct.
by which all the people there had social compacts, by the way.
Yep. And just shortly after Georgie's boy took over, then they quit giving people oath to their state to get rid of the social compact.
Well, we could be here all day, couldn't we?
Yes,
we
we could.
All right. Well, thanks.
I'll hush with that.
Thanks for listening to the 134th broadcast of the T-Row Show. We hope you learned something today. And really what it comes down to is the future is in your hands. If you want to do it the right way, it can be done. If you want to do it the way you're doing it, or turn around and say, hey, I think, well, just go start shooting people, then that you're going to get what you deserve. There. That's just what's going to happen. This is a spiritual war, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, and whether you believe it or not. And but we know you're smarter. You know, you're smarter. It could no way it could be a spiritual war, right? I remember those days, believing I was smarter than that. All right, thanks for listening to the 134th broadcast of the T-Row Show. We will see you next week.